Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom!
Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease, known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
Olive Garden is in trouble.
Olive Garden
that was the one
They
division.
need to advertise on WABC if they want to
save themselves.
Exactly.
And get their pro-Italian. But Italian Americans, especially in this city and in New Jersey, if I say Olive Garden, I don't go there, but they get so angry. They get so angry.
My opinion, it's brand X Italian food.
It's like a McDonald's of Italian food.
No,
Not
McDonald's
even.
is good compared to
Yeah.
I was in Augusta, Maine, and my wife asked the concierge at the hotel, said, we need a good Italian restaurant. Have a recommendation. She says, oh, you're lucky. The best one in the whole state. Olive Garden.
Well, at least she didn't say we have macaroni and cheese. How about that? But all kidding aside, we are joined now by another great Italian American, Vito Fossella, the borough president of Staten Island. And Borough President Fossella, we have to ask you, with these crazy elections here in the Manhattan part of New York City, is Staten Island prepared to be once again the citadel for common sense, decent? And instead of running to Florida or Texas, should they run to Staten Island?
I thought you were going to ask me if I'm going to go to Olive Garden. Oh, my goodness. No,
John is picking up the check, Rita.
Yeah. As John and the judge know, we have Italian restaurants in Staten Island, and one's better than the other. So Olive Garden can't do too well here. I think, listen, we got to just take a step back and really digest what happened just a couple of days ago, and it's for real. And I think what happened is, frankly, the other party allowed this to happen, and they allowed the fox in the hen house, and they got walloped. And it's not a good sign for the country in the short term. Over the long term, as we all come to appreciate, socialism meets reality. Wherever it took hold, it was crushed. It destroyed people, it destroyed freedoms, it destroyed faith-based people. Everywhere it's been sort of allowed to creep in, it's destroyed the countries that it took over, and it takes time to root it out. But in the short term, it's rather destructive. And the establishment politicians on the other side allowed it, and they got their head handed to them, and I don't think it's going to slow down. So in the short term, it's bad for the United States of America that socialism is allowed at the table, because when you start to look at what they want, it is corrosive and it hurts people, property owners. It's all about class warfare. They want to destroy the capitalist system that we enjoy and has made this country the best in the history of the world. So we just got to stand up, and every once in a while you got to say no. Like just recently, we had a situation on Staten Island, a graduation for middle school kids, 12, 13 years old, and somebody wanted to disrupt the ceremony by, in the middle of it, just displaying a flag to send a political statement. And we said, no, you just can't do that, because a graduation, like so many things, are for the families, for a point of reflection, decorum. And every once in a while, you got to say, no, we can't do that. And I think the other party allowed the socialists in far too long, and they didn't say no. So ultimately, they won these primaries, and now we're running major cities across the country with disruptive, destructive policies. And the ordinary folks who are getting up in the morning, 5:30 to go to work, they're the ones that are going to get hurt ultimately, and not the ones who want free stuff every single day.
Vito, Fernando Mateo here. How are you?
How are you, my friend?
I am great. And I'm very proud of the Staten Islanders and what you guys do there. You know, you maintain your independence. You know, you draw the line when you need to draw it, and I commend you for that. But I realized that you kept saying that other party, the other side. You never mentioned the Democratic Party. Because now there's a takeover of the Democratic Socialist Party, right? Let me ask you, what are you going to do if the Democratic Socialist Party goes to Staten Island and spreads the venom? What are your thoughts? Can they do that?
Fernando, first of all, it's great to hear your voice, my friend. My belief, I really try not to be a partisan guy. I just stand up for what I believe and what we should do for the people of Staten Island, whether it's better schools, safe streets, safe communities, working and supporting the men and women in the New York City Police Department, supporting our first responders, fundamental things. And that's how I've run my life in the political world. What the Democrat Party does is their concern. It's not mine. My observation is that they're making a big mistake long term. In the short term, there was a primary recently in Staten Island for Senate incumbent, and the incumbent won handily. I think she got more than 70% of the vote because the people in Staten Island are sane. You know, they have demonstrated common sense, John's favorite phrase, for decades, and we believe in each other. We believe in, again, safe communities. We don't. You know, when defund the police was the catchphrase of the century, we said that's the dumbest thing we've ever heard. So we do, you're right, Fernando, we do retain and maintain our independence against insanity and stand up for common sense. And we will continue to do so and support the hardworking taxpayers who didn't wake up, they didn't wake up on third base and say, I hit a triple. A lot of them suffered.
I like that.
Their families came here from all over the world, Italy, Ireland, wherever the case may be. They worked hard. They sacrificed. They worked 2 or 3 jobs for their kids and then their grandchildren, and they own a home, and they have a job. They own a business, and they want what's best for their kids and their families, and we will continue to support those things. If there's another group that comes along from other parts of the country, they come here when they're 25, a lot of them, they've probably never suffered a day in their life, and all of a sudden they say capitalism is terrible, the U.S. is terrible, we need to get out of, defund the Department of War, in other words, abolish the Defense Department. These are insane policies. If implemented, they will wake people up.
It's worse than that, Vito. It's worse than that. Judge Weinberg, what did Esplanad's person that beat Esplanade say yesterday?
Yeah.
She wants to abolish the Pentagon. Just totally get rid of the old Defense Department. Totally abolish it, Vito.
It was just silly stuff.
No, well, it's all nonsense. And by the way, I'll tell you what the big problem. Vito, and you and I go back decades and decades together. The big problem is they have a momentum going on, and the momentum is capturing the young people who do not understand history, they don't understand economics, they don't understand politics, they don't understand social cohesion. So they have an ideology that's driving them, and they're the ones who are coming out to vote. The percentage of voters in this primary was minuscule. And if you look at the demographics that came out, they were the young kids, and they were likely kids who had never been raised here and understood the problems of the bad old days that you and I know when we were at City Hall together about protecting and defending the city and how easy it is for the tip to go very, very bad. Your thoughts?
No, listen, I am blessed to have a relationship with Judge Weinberg that goes back to the early 90s, and one of the reasons I jumped into politics and public service was to right the ship of a city that was going down the tubes. And you talk to a young person about what it was like in Times Square in 1991, 92, and across the city, they have no clue. And now you look at it, it's vibrant, it's alive. And if you allow it to, again, corrosive policies, to allow criminals on the streets, they're just going to commit more crimes and do a bunch of different things. And I go back with you, Judge, with guys like Peter Vallone, who were sensible, common sense, decent human beings who just wanted what's best for the city, as opposed to what you're saying are younger people primarily coming from across this country and perhaps the world who have never been punched in the face by reality, and they just want this utopia that's never going to exist. We can do what we can. We're going to be imperfect, but you got to work for it. You got to strive for it, and you got to earn it.
We're talking to Vito.
A lot of them don't want it.
We're talking to Vito Fossella, the borough president of Staten Island. And Mr. Fossella, you come from a political family. You know politics very, very well. And I'd like to ask you to dig a little bit deeper into what you just said, because you're talking about some people who may have been supposedly on the other side of the aisle, political opponents from time to time from the past and also the recent past, who were still decent people, who still, maybe we disagree with them on how they wanted to make things better, but they did want to make things better. I put it to you as someone who's been watching politics for a long time. Do you have the same inclination that I have, that some of these people, including Mayor Mamdani, including Darisa Avila Chevalier, are not actually looking for a better America or a better city? They are funded through this Act Blue and other sites by the enemies of this country. I mean, I'm not trying to put a conspiracy theory out here, but I don't think these people are actually looking for a better New York or a better USA. I think that their funding and their support comes from outside this country, people who mean us harm, sir.
I agree. I think there are a lot of people on the other side who supported these candidates who hate this country, who hate capitalism, who hate the act of the country defending ourselves and defending our allies, who stand up for those who want freedom and democracy. In the Middle East, for example, there are those who want to destroy the state of Israel, destroy it. Not just we don't like them, they want to destroy them. And we have an obligation to stand up for the people who love freedom, who stand up for capitalism over communism, and to support our allies. That's what good people, decent people do. And yes, I served at the city council with Judge Weinberg and many others when he was there with Peter Vallone, as I mentioned. I served in Congress. And the one thing I would say, the 12 years I had the privilege of serving the people of Staten Island and Brooklyn, some of my best friends were Democrats. They were human beings. They were good people. We disagreed philosophically on certain things, politically on certain things, but we worked together for the good of the order and the common good to make this country better. And now it's a war. Everything you see, it looks like there's a war between people, you can't even associate with a Democrat if you're a Republican, vice versa. That is long-term disaster for the country. And what it allows is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. So what do you get? You get the major cities around the country are now run by socialists who want to think and state clearly everything is free. That doesn't work in the long term. As I mentioned at the very outset, in the short term, it's a problem, and it's a big problem. And ultimately, actions speak much more loudly than words. And to John's point, one of the key aspects of the platform of the Democratic Socialists of America is to defund the Pentagon and the armed services. And the most important thing government can do is to protect the innocent people of this country who just, here we are on the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. It's the greatest in the history of the world. And there's a good chunk of the Democratic Party on the left who hate it, who want to see it destroyed. And I hope the good people of this city, this state, and this country rise up and crush it in its cradle, because what they really want is destruction of the United States of America.
Vito, there was a recent poll came out through CNN of all places, said as follows: in 2001, 80% of the Democrats loved and supported the country. Today, it's 29%. Amongst Republicans, 90% supported and loved this country. In 2001, today it's 90%. So what you had here is you have a falling off of love of this country, of patriotism, of dedication to the values of this country. And this is not coincidental. This is funded a lot by our foreign enemies. There's a group called Justice Democrats. Justice Democrats. That's foreign money. It infiltrates from the Middle East, Islamists, And what they're trying to do is they're trying to create schism in this country, and they're being successful. We're more divided today than we've ever been in my lifetime, Vito, and it's very frightening for the future of our children and grandchildren.
I can't disagree. Judge. And part of it is there's this. We saw it a few years ago at the Ivy Leagues when my alma mater, University of Pennsylvania, got caught up in it with just blatant anti-Semitism, and they pretended it didn't exist, and the other Ivies. And ultimately, fortunately, they prevailed that these presidents were asked to leave. But there was decades of indoctrination of you were taught to hate the country, right? So you're graduating some of these Ivy League schools, and all you are taught in I say always, but a good message that they were taught was hate the United States of America.
Vito,
let me interrupt 1 second, and then you'll go. And we got to take an 8:30 break.
Yeah.
The thing that's coming up is, let's go to the Democrats. Under Bill Clinton, the country, 80% of the Democrats loved America. Bill Clinton loved America. Mm-hmm. This all happened post-Obama. And that is the secret.
During Obama. Yeah.
During Obama and post-Obama. And Joe Biden, I don't blame him. You know why I don't blame Joe Biden? I don't think he knew he was here. and people are saying that was Obama's third term. I don't know who was running the White House under Joe Biden. Somebody I think we have to find out eventually who it was. But people say it's Obama's third term. But this happened post-Obama. And I remember what his wife said about America, etc. And Fernando, what did you want to say?
Listen, Vito, before we lose you, because I know we're going to lose you soon, what can be done, and can it be done? Can Staten Island have its own mayor? Its own city, its own
secession.
The secession movement.
Who changes? Is it the city charter commission that does that?
State legislature.
You're dreaming, Fernando.
Well,
Let's move on.
Listen. I may be dreaming, but the truth of the matter is, Staten Island is a different place. It's a place that has common sense.
It's like a suburban city within a city.
Last word to you, Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella.
Please answer me.
No, last word.
So the short answer is we can't do it right now. Perhaps if these things continue, that Staten Island would secede to become its own county or city. But let me just say this on the positive. I don't want to make it all negative here. I spend a lot of times in schools. Just this week alone, we announced a new field and gymnasium we're building. I spoke at a graduation for a grammar school. The kids are great. The families that send these kids to school are great people. 99% are so positive. They blast and they belt out the national anthem. They sing God Bless America at the top of their lungs. We just need to foster that and say, this is the future. And these other marginalized people go full circle, these wealthy, perhaps kids from all over the country who hate this country in such a way. We need to grow these young people to say, you are growing up in the best country in the history of the world. Crowd out these nut jobs and crush them so they don't ruin and destroy this country so we can be here another 250 years.
With the positive message. Thank you so much, Borough President Vito Fossella. You will not be seeing him at Olive Garden. And we'll be right back.
Thank you, Vito.
We'll be right back with a lot of great guests.
Thank you, Vito.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?